Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. The thing that we kind of need to discuss today is nothing else than what is kind of going on at this moment. Are we going in a good place? Are we going in a bad space? So, what is going to happen this upcoming week? This upcoming week, we have going to have New Zealand having their interest rate meeting. We have Bank of Canada having an interest rate meeting, and then we have CPI this week. Now, the thing about that is nothing more than it's just a summer thing. So we will still need to keep on track and keep on top of things. We still need to prepare ourselves for August. We still need to prepare ourselves for when what do you call it? Trends comes back and volatility comes back. So, what is currently happening on Friday? We had an NFP report, and NFP report was 209,000 new jobs versus 225 expected. And what the market did, which was very interesting, it went up and then down again. As you can see here on the euro, we went down and then skyrocketed back up again, which is very interesting, I would say, because what is currently what is it? Is that a new rate hike? Is that less of a rate hike? It is actually indicative of continuing on the path because it's still 200,000 new jobs. We still have a very tight labor market. So even though it's just a slightly thing below the target, it is still well above. And and then ADP is still there. So even though you still have a lower NFP than you would expect, dollar weekend, woohoo, it's still in line with having a rate hike in the next Fed meeting, though the market doesn't agree with that. So it's that kind of where that's kind of where things is. So Naiman, my man is back. Boom. Joe, boom. Roxana, hello. So glad to be streaming. I'm glad to be back. John Tooth, very much welcome. So, this is a weekly forecast. So, where are we currently? We are currently in a very interesting position because we have Fed that is still increasing interest rates. We had Canada that was pivoting, and then now they are still seeing data not doing that, so they are expected to rate or increase interest rates yet again. So this isn't a linear thing. This isn't a straightforward, we can just say, this is how it is, this is how it is, and then write it off. This is still a very liquid situation generally for the entire market. Okay? Second of all, or third of all, I just wanted to point out what was said about what happened on Friday. Okay? So FX Goldsby says, I feel like we're still on the golden path to no recession, low inflation. And that's kind of like a sentiment that I want to have. I want to hear that. I want to see that. But I'm like, are you connected to reality? Because what happened back in the 90s, I think the late 90s, where they did what they did in COVID, they really made loose monetary policy. And then everything crashed later on. So just, that it's a nice idea. That's what kind of they want us to have and to know and to see. But is it really that? No, not really. So, and the other thing is, CAD unemployment change was almost 60,000 versus 20,000 expected, which is, again, better than expected data. Again, talking about increasing interest rates in Canada. Just one more thing about the news coming out. I haven't seen the expectations for the New Zealand. Does anybody have currently in Norway? Does anybody have the updated expectations for New Zealand? Has anybody looked at Westpac lately? Essen says, hey, what's exactly why is that exactly a data release of the market rocket whenever it's heading? How can it happen instantaneously? Data, computers that works in nano microseconds. Um, with hedge funds that now has that did or do invest billions, they have computers that is quickly, and they have direct access to the market if it goes through a broker. So it just happens before we can even think. So that's why there's an instant reaction, because there's instant trades that happens. That is before we can even, and even with our retail broker, I think they're delayed like 1 second or whatever it is. So, and you can't really act as much as they can do, because secondly, you're a human, which there is an inbuilt 1 second delay regardless. Um, yeah, so it's just data, computers, data centers, that's been built strongly and robustly to react super quickly. New Zealand expectations are unchanged, okay? Because I was imagining they were still going to increase interest rate, but I might be wrong in that direction. But okay, fine. Okay, so that's kind of my offloading of kind of fundamentals, kind of like the situation we're currently in. Um, what do you guys want to talk about? What assets do you want me to discuss going forward? Because we can discuss a lot. To be frank with you, we can say euro dollar, and I just want to say that what I currently expect, kind of going forward in July, is any attempt to trend is going to be a kickback, and especially on the euro, because lately I've been seeing a range ever since 15th of June. So take that and download that as a fact for 2023 so far, which is almost a month now. We have been range bound ever since 15th of June. So whenever there's a 15th of June, kind of go for a vacation for a week or two. One, volatility has decreased. Secondly, trend has died, or unalive itself. Or four, it hasn't provided us with good trading opportunities, either as a bear or a bull or anything like that. So nothing has been happening. That's your dollar. And if you go over to British pound dollar, which has had a deeper pullback, but now it seems like it actually can start trending again. The other one is Australian dollar, which has had a downfall, which has been because of lower interest rate expectations, has been because of China having less good data. So that's kind of why it fell down. But is it also just normal market conditions? Probably. So the other thing is JPY, as Jessica says, and the thing with JPY is that Bank of Japan has said, we're not going to change anything in the July meeting. We're not going to change anything in with our yield curve control, YCC. But then the other week they said that we are going to be we're very unhappy. I don't know the word was. They were concerned, I guess this word is concerned about the Forex movements. So there might be another one of that this year if yen is falling too much. So yen is kind of one directional at this point, right? It is up. Now the question in mind is, can you sell it short term before buying it back up again? Okay, can you buy back up again this euro yen? And I would argue, but yeah, your risk is increasing at this point. Okay, so yen is weak by far, by any measurement, right? It's even increased in comparison to your dollar, has just plummeted. Secondly, or thirdly, or fifthly, so there is no yield curve control coming in or change to that. They are concerned about the Forex movements. I got this one. They are not seeing what they want to see in terms of changing monetary policy, that's going to mean that your yen is still going to go rise. But is currently yen or euro in particular bullish? I don't like this pullback. So short term, I don't really like it at all. So the other thing is that you asked me about was seasonality on it. Who is it? Mr. Kelly. All right, cool. So in my mind, we're supposed to fall on euro or on British pound, Japanese yen, end of June, which we never did. So that's kind of like, so what's kind of the deal here? So the deal is we are supposed to have a dip now, which we kind of didn't, right? So is seasonality and this one in line? Not really. Like as you saw here, your pound yen this year so far, this is just risen. It was supposed to be peak 23rd of June. So I don't know. At this point, in terms of seasonality, there's a disconnect. So, but regardless, it changes is a bit my approach, but we still look for buys, right? We still look for buys. The only problem here is wrong. Joe, where's the new one? Haven't you made a new one here? Where's the new? There's new. Okay, cool. So then we go to manual. We can go to 4 months as we can do that. We can go to standard bullish, style. Can you like make an Ivan preset here, Joe? Like, whatever Ivan likes to do, like Ivan FX preset, that would actually be lovely. I just can't remember. I literally buys exit this one. 35%. Cool. Great. We haven't touched central pivot. Not that needs to happen, but it's a comfort for me that we didn't do it last month, which makes me inclined that we might do it this month instead. So pivot point wise, we are like woohoo, we're like poo, too high, right? So I really want this to come down. So if it does come down to 180 or 178, I'm more inclined to buy at a bigger dosage. At this point, we can go down to like weekly, which is still like I don't think it really has a lot to offer, and in terms of good entries, because we have risen. Now we are pausing, which generally leads to this dumb breakouts lower, and then it builds back up again. So that's kind of where I see when I see central pivot, which is supposed to be like this, new high, right? This is great, right? Central pivot is higher than the previous one, but now it's a bit lower. Price has paused. I'm very reluctant, so I would say look for maybe 180 and then 178, and then if that kind of doesn't work out, if it jumps up from here, then you can take the pullback and buy something like that. But that's just I would call that a white one, and then I would do this one, and I would do that, and then that, and then now you know that 80 and 78 is great. Interesting. Bob's your uncle. Boom, Rafael. Is the GPY really only because of the market expectation changing for the policy on 20th of July? Nope. Is the GPY rally sustainable? No. Currently, a few yen pairs had a very strong weekly candle closure. Yes, sir. They have had very strong weekly closure, but it is one thing only. It is the lack of other pairs being bearish. Okay, it's the lack of something else, right? So it's the lack of yes, madam, yes, Roxana. It's the lack of something, because right now, like, the only thing that has a clear mental fundamental picture is actually yen. Also, tell me, what's the fundamentals in dollar? Is it clear? What's the fundamentals in euro? Is it clear? Is it clear in the UK? Is it clear in Canada? Canada just paused, and then now they're racing again. So that's the only one that is currently having a cool idea. Australia also paused last week, but then they're going to hike again in August. Next meeting, which is August. That's at least the current expectations. So it's the only one that has, like, nothing is clear. I would argue against that, Jessica. Nothing is clear at the moment because yen is the only one that doesn't have a fundamental reason to change current policy, or hasn't spoken openly about having a possible change in their policy. That's why that's the only one that is clear. Clear is relative in this bit at this day and age. 3 years ago, totally different story, right? But because trading markets is in a big sense a relatives game. Who are bullish relative? Which currency? Which market is most bullish? Everyone can be bullish. Like, all markets during COVID was rapidly falling. So who's the stronger one? Where can we get a carry trade from? Where's our best investment? There's always that question: where's our best investment? So there is going to be a comparison. There is going to be which one can I pinpoint the easiest as being the easiest, the most rewarding trade. And then when the central bank then comes out and says, hey, we're going to cut interest rates, we're going to buy bonds, everything becomes clear. But the day before, we were rapidly falling, markets crashing, people losing their jobs, 20 million people lost their jobs. All of a sudden, central banks can help us. Okay, cool, go back up again. I don't think the BOJ will go any changes, at least until the Fed is clear about the future path. To an extent, yes. To an extent, no. Every central bank is independent to themselves, except for Bank of Canada, I would say, compared to the Fed. Bank of Canada is very close to America in terms of economy and in terms of who does the first move. But also now Canada has a different position than the United States. So they paused earlier than Fed. They are now being the first mover. But when it comes to interest rate increases, I can't remember who was the first one to raise interest rates. Was it Fed? Or was it Bank of Canada? But one of those. So Fed is supposed to be the first mover, but now when they start lagging moves, and then other central banks need to step up for their own economy, because they don't sit at their own board meetings and like, oh, Fed hasn't done anything, so we can't do anything, even though our country is going to the dark places on earth. The other thing is Argentina. Has anybody heard about Argentina lately? They had, was it 100%? Was it 100% inflation? 90% inflation? Something like that. They're not going to sit and wait for Fed to do anything. They have to fix their own issues, which for prime minister's presidents has tried before and failed, or been tossed, or left a job. Now, euro yen. I don't know if this is bearish, but might be. But that's kind of the deal. The deal is that it's no longer aggressively bullish. So in my view, I'm like, I don't know if I want to buy this. This is not a buying opportunity for me. I want to see continuous higher high. This is This is challenging lows, which is completely opposite of what I want to see. I want to see I want to see higher highs, higher lows. I want to see that. So if this is currently happening, or if that is happening for that matter, I want to be on the other side of the move. So if that starts to happen, I'm game. But count me out at current price. Back at Canadian with Canada raising interest rate, I would argue that that was being priced in here. To be honest, currently there is no good buy, and if they do increase interest rates, this one is likely to fall. So if there's any direction on this one, it's down. Now, is this a great moment to buy, to sell? Probably not. This is all technical. This is all human behavior. This is all what I expect to happen in a given situation. It's not fundamental. It's just money flow more than anything else. So expecting this one to fall this week. And to be honest with you, you can actually look at these prices here, which becomes, I just wanted to point it out, 108, maybe a bit higher, even 108.60, and then 108.30, 26, sorry, those two prices. I wouldn't sell 107, 80 too low. So those are the two things that I would like you to sell. So that's the top and bottom of my gray area already made. So there is that. Boom. Any other questions out there, right? By the way, so another one is Australian dollar yen. This is just another one that is going to rise in the end. It might take some time before it rises, but this move is, to me, is just lacking short-term bullishness, meaning it was way too fast here. Okay, but then now it starts moving sideways, which is okay. But don't take it for granted that it's going to fall. If this was going to fall, it will be like here now. So just remind yourself what should the market do in this given situation. If this was a bearishness, why is it range bound? Kind of a thing. It might be reasons out there that would make it do it, but right now, chill pill in either direction. Give it 2 weeks or even 1 week for it to do something, and then we can see. Euro New Zealand is another one that I think might start rising soon. It made very interesting moves on Friday, came back down to support again. If it makes a new higher low, it actually can be interesting because it's coming into season. I don't know if that's going to be true or whatever, but there might be a trade for me there to the bullish side. So if you like, Ivan, what are you going to focus on next week? It's going to be Euro New Zealand. If this can go bullish, I don't know, but 176.41 looks great to me. USDN, I want this to fall, to be honest, and it kind of didn't do, but it fell nicely on Friday. Nice on Friday. When yen becomes a bit stronger and dollar becomes a bit weaker. Fair enough. But this, to me, shouts that kind of a trade. When it falls that hard, comes back up again, or it might just be a small one. So which one am I going to take? I'll take the small one. You have to be prepared for this bigger one coming back up again to 143, 144. Hands down, everything down. It doesn't really matter. You have to expect. So if you're going to expect a small pullback, you have to also take the bigger pullback. And if it hits your stop loss with the small pullback, fine. But don't come crying to me because I told you so. So you'd argue that New Zealand CAD wouldn't be a good sell going into the CAD meeting? No. That would be it. I'm not telling you anything about no financial advice whatsoever, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't. The other thing that I would say is When it comes to something they're expecting in the market, that they get what they want, but they don't get anything more, unless there is more interest rate being put in. Whenever it is, English, whenever there is an expectation met, market falls. That's just how it has been for the years that I've been trading. I just haven't. But it's just as long as there's no new information that would talk about higher interest rates, that would make CAD very strong. So it's a gamble. It's a gamble if they're gonna introduce more interest rates. But after that, if they don't do that, it's a clear-cut sell on CAD, or any asset for that matter. Doesn't need to be CAD. So yeah. So pound yen, euro yen is what I'm looking at at this moment. I didn't like how Friday ended. Another one that I might talk you guys into is looking into buying NOK yen. Was it NOK yen? Yeah. Or for that matter, buying USD NOK, because NOK is absolutely horrible at this point. Has paused a bit, but if it starts to continue its uptrend, just have an eye on it. If it makes a new higher high, higher low, I would argue that's a good thing to look out for, because currently it is things is not looking great on this planet Earth. Okay, gold. I just need it to be a new higher high and then continue higher. So this one has to be watched a bit more closely going over tomorrow and the other days. This can be a double bottom. It can also just be a pullback. So just be careful. Don't buy it now. Wait for it to come up, come back, and then put it on. Nice and slowly. Nothing to rush. It's just a small trade. US oil is coming back up to resistance. I'm not going to buy it now, but I would love it to break at least and trend for a bit. So I'm already late to the party whatsoever, kind of a thing. But if it does break, I'm not going to be buying in these highs here. But so there's only one opportunity. There's something like that maybe, and then start buying like here or here, like late, or it comes back down again into the range and we buy it back up. Remember, 1st of August, we don't buy anymore, even if it goes higher. Bullish oil breakout won't. No, because the later, it is. I would call it a myth at this point, because CAD does not move oil anymore. USD CAD, it has lost its connection. I think it's maybe 10% now, or so, or 15. Sorry, it no longer does, because if oil has been range bound and has true 100%, impact on CAD, then CAD should also be range bound for the past, since May. So we say Canada should be a range. Is it a range ever since May? I would say that Canadian dollar has been quite strong. It has risen 600 in the time period, max high and low, and 400 in the time period. So I would say this is actually trending, and oil is ranging. No, it's a very dangerous combination. Can somebody please hit the like button if I've given information that is nice and dense and that you have learned something new today? Just in case, just in case you find anything interesting here. Use the CAD bullish. Yeah. Let's go up to dollar pairs. Yeah. I would actually argue with that. Yeah. High. Okay. So here's my thoughts. Okay. Here's my thoughts. Dollars. I was like, any trending move at this point in July is a drop dead theory. Okay. Just have that in mind. Don't expect moves to trend. Because I don't know, I can go back in July a couple of years ago for that matter. Because you know, this is June, this is July. Did it trend? So yes, it did, but then it came crashing back down again. Okay, so even though it looks like it's going to go higher, it peaked 14th of July last year, which is 5 days away from now, or 4 days away from tomorrow. Um, so it's kind, yeah. Also, you will get the same price in August, so it's just a short-term volatility that can get out of the market. So if you're searching for trends, I wouldn't. I would even maybe try to pick up something down here at 131.30 or some sorts. Not necessarily to buy, but I would probably have bottom somewhere around there rather than buying right now. So I understand your emotions and your feelings and your wishes, but I don't want you to take it on that one. Don't lose money on it. I don't want you to lose money on it. Hey, any views on British pound New Zealand, Emily? Not entirely. Not entirely. Um, no, it is range bound to bullish, so it doesn't. Well, yeah, okay. Maybe if it comes back down to 2055 and then higher, sure, maybe upside. But it is very range bound, very lack of trending. So we can start building some positions higher, but I don't think that it is the greatest investment you've ever done in your entire life. So my confidence level is quite low. Yeah. 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 Okay. So this might not be the low. At least hasn't been that for the past year. So small, if anything. Like pinch the market is. What's been in the UK? Hawkish pricing has been pricing for weeks now. Insanely high inflation, 50 basis point rate hike previously. Would you say that there will be a pullback on pound? Well, just there's always possibility of bullish pullbacks, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you should be shorting it. But yeah, definitely advocate for a bullish direction. Okay, cool. Fed Logan says the rates are necessary. U.S. labor market are tighter than expected. Bank of Japan Deputy Gov says that yen weakness is undesirable. Lauren talked about that. ECB says they're starting to see effects of their rate hikes in their economy. Okay. Thank you, Joe. That's probably not what you actually pinged about, but yeah. Okay, cool. Great. That's just me. Okay, so let's go through dollars very quickly. Australian dollar was supposed to come back here, so I think it will still do so. Um, Euro rubbish at this point. Some people might say, "Oh, it's going to go higher." Sure, if it does, but I don't believe it. Half a second. Pound, another high. Um, so what I would argue with, I don't know when I did that. Maybe it's from there, but technically you can start looking for buys here. But now it's too late. So if it does come back, maybe, but It's still not what I want to see, and definitely not what I want to see. The only thing it did was it come back to a level of support that I would understand. But for this one to even be considerable to trade, I need to have a higher high or a higher high on a pullback or something that we can get out of this mess at this point, because it's not trending, so it's not great. Um, S&P 500, Nasdaq still bullish, still great to the upside. Short term, markets are still not connected with two another hikes. Just have that in mind, that even when the market starts believing that actually it's going to happen, this is going to come down, dollar's going to strengthen, blah blah blah. That will be another opportunity to look for more buys. By the way, so far this year, I think Nasdaq is I have to double check my numbers in Nasdaq. Year to date is it 80% down? No, it's not 80% down. What is year to date on Nasdaq, people? Is it 31% up year to date? Something like that. Also New Zealand, nothing fantastic. Maybe SL? Nah. Also, if it comes back up here, that would be great sells. It's just that right now it's went very small. It went very small waves down, so very aggressive down. Not really great pullback. So I was still technically wait for this or buying down here. But if it does turn around here, maybe small buy, but that's because of the New Zealand weakness more than anything else. 40%. Okay, cool. Okay, people. Hope you guys had a fantastic day. I don't know how long I've been streaming for. 37 minutes, way too long. Do apologize for that. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. If you guys want to have more questions, ask me in Discord. I will be trying my best. If not, if you're wondering where I am, I'm trying to do my best to make a new fundamental analysis course. Not really selling it, and at any point you're saying that's what I'm doing, and then I'm doing a lot of mentorship calls day in and day out. So this is 10:47 p.m. on a Sunday. I have been traveling all day. Really made time for this one. So if you appreciate it, give it a like. If not, boom. I'll see you later.